But even as they worked, the galaxy trembled. Across alien markets, whispers grew louder. The humans are coming back. Some laughed nervously, calling it a myth. Others whispered in fear. If even one battleship survived, maybe more did. Council tried to silence the rumors, declaring it propaganda. But the people did not believe. The fear was too real. In dark alleys, alien mercenaries polished their weapons, preparing for war. In hidden colonies, exiled humans sharpened knives, dreaming of liberation. Aaron stood on the bridge during one long night, watching the stars. He could almost hear the voices of his ancestors, the millions who had died in the War of Exile. His chest tightened, his voice low. We are coming back, not as beggars, not as slaves, but as fire. Suddenly, Solaris's sensors picked up a faint signal, not alien but human, a small transmission, weak and broken. To whoever hears, we are survivors. We endure. Aaron froze, his heart racing. He turned to Lyra. Trace it. The signal came from another exile colony, far from Duskfall, a colony thought long dead. Solaris's awakening had given them courage to speak. Aaron's voice hardened. We're not alone anymore. Lyra smiled faintly, her eyes glowing with hope. If they know Solaris lives, others will rise too. Joran grinned. A rare thing. The exile is ending, one spark at a time. But as the signal faded, the AI cut through. Their joy. Warning. Enemy fleet detected on approach. Estimated strength. 12 warships. The bridge fell silent again. The fear was back, heavy and cold. But this time, fear was not only for survival, it was for what was at stake. Aaron straightened, his eyes like steel. Let them come. We'll show them what fear really means. The lights of Solaris burned brighter. Its steel body shuddered with awakening power. And across the galaxy, both human and alien hearts beat faster. For the first time in ages, the galaxy remembered. The roar of humanity. Humanity's roar. The fleet came like a storm. 12 alien warships cutting through the void with blazing engines. Their hulls gleamed with the symbols of the Council. Their weapons charged. Their commanders full of certainty. For centuries they had ruled the stars, and to them, humans were nothing more than dust. But this time, dust had teeth. On the bridge of Solaris, Aaron stood tall, his eyes fixed on the glowing red markers that filled the scanner. Each marker was death, each one a warship strong enough to level a colony. His hands clenched behind his back, steady but hard. They've formed a blockade, Joran muttered, his voice low. They want to trap us here. Finish us like animals. Lyra's fingers danced across the weapon consoles, sparks still clinging to her sleeves from long nights of work. Shields are at 43%, railguns are steady, 2 plasma lances. Online. Barely. The ship's AI spoke, its voice deep and calm. Enemy fleet strength. Overwhelming. Probability of defeat. 89%. Silence followed. The numbers were heavy, crushing, but Aaron's voice cut through like steel. Then we'll fight. For the 11%, the alien fleet hailed them. A voice dripping with arrogance filled the bridge. Human survivors, surrender your vessel, you cannot win. This is your final warning. Aaron stepped forward, his face lit by the glow of the stars. His voice carried across the channel, cold and certain. We endured exile, we endured slavery, we endured silence. But tonight, the galaxy will endure us. The comm went dead, replaced by the thunder of war. The alien fleet moved first. Beams of plasma and storms of missiles filled. The void Solaris shook as blasts hammered its shields, alarms screamed, corridors filled with smoke. Shields at 29%. Lyra shouted, her voice breaking under the noise. We can't hold this forever. Aaron's jaw clenched. Then we strike back. The railguns roared, firing hyper-accelerated slugs that ripped through the dark. The first alien frigate exploded, fire blooming across its hull. The plasma lance followed, slicing another ship in half. The void lit up, wreckage spinning, bodies vanishing into the black. But for every ship destroyed, more pressed forward, the aliens swarmed like predators, circling, firing, cutting into Solaris's armor. Joran gritted his teeth, pulling the massive ship through wreck fields and debris. They want us in the open, Aaron. They want to pin us down. Aaron's eyes flashed. Then we use their pride against them. He pointed to the wreck of an ancient dreadnought drifting nearby. Take us through there now, Solaris groaned, sliding into the graveyard, its massive frame scraping through the skeleton. Of dead ships, the alien fleet followed, beams carving through the wrecks, explosions scattering fire. But here, in the chaos of metal bones, the giant battleship fought like a ghost. Railguns fired from shadows. Lances struck from behind dead hulks. Every time the aliens thought they had it cornered, Solaris appeared. Somewhere else, roaring. Fear spread among the alien commanders. They whispered on private channels. This ship should not exist. It should not fight like this. Aaron's voice carried on human comms, sharp and burning. You thought Exile broke us, you thought silence killed us, but every wound only made us harder. Another cruiser fell, its engines torn apart by a railgun strike. The explosion lit the void like a second sun. Shadows stretched across the graveyard, and for the first time in centuries, alien crews trembled at the sound of human guns. Still, the enemy pressed. More ships surrounded Solaris, weapons glowing for the final strike. Lyra shouted, Aaron, we're outnumbered. We can't win head-to-head. Aaron's eyes narrowed, his voice cold. Then we don't fight head-to-head, we roar. He ordered the AI to release the ancient war protocols buried deep in the ship's memory. The lights on the bridge turned blood red. Sirens wailed. The reactor surged, pushing power far beyond safe limits. Warning. Overload imminent, the AI droned. But Aaron didn't flinch. Solaris unleashed everything. All railguns fired in a storm of thunder. Plasma lances cut like burning swords. Missile pods ripped, free with fire. The void shook as the giant roared with the fury of all humanity. Alien ships exploded one after another, their commanders screaming in disbelief. The blockade shattered, ships breaking formation, retreating into the dark. When the fire cleared, half the enemy fleet was gone. The others fled, tails tucked, carrying terror with them. On the bridge, silence reigned, only the hum of the reactor and the ragged breaths of the crew. They're running, Joran whispered, almost in shock. An entire fleet, and they're running. Lyra collapsed into her chair, laughing through tears. We did it. We actually did it. Aaron didn't smile. His eyes were still hard, watching the fleeing ships. His voice was low, steady, certain. No, this is only the beginning. He turned to the stars, his words a whisper carried by steel. The exile is over. Humanity has returned. And across the galaxy the message spread faster than light. Whispers carried through every market, every council hall, every dark corner. Solaris lives. The humans are back. Alien rulers trembled. Colonies stirred. Exiles rose. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy heard it clearly. Humanity's roar, the long exile. The galaxy had forgotten the humans, but the humans never forgot the galaxy. Long ago, before most of the young ones were even born, humanity had been cast out. The Great Council of Alien Races had decided that humans were too dangerous, too stubborn and too proud to live among the stars. So the fleets of the great empires joined together. They came with fire and endless warships. They shattered Earth's defenses. They burned colonies. They hunted humans wherever they could be found. And when the war ended, only ashes and broken voices were left. The survivors were forced into exile. They were driven to the farthest edge of the galaxy, to cold, barren worlds with no sunlight and no wealth. The council declared, let them rot. Let them fade into myth. And so humanity, once bold explorers of the stars, became prisoners of exile. Generations passed. Children grew up hearing only whispers of Earth. To them, the blue planet was not real. It was only a story told by the elders. Stories of oceans so wide you could not see the other side. Stories of skies filled with birds. Stories of a home now gone. On these cold exile colonies, life was hard. The air was thin. The soil was dead. People worked just to survive another day. Mothers gave up meals for their children. Fathers grew old too fast under heavy labor. The young asked, why do aliens hate us? What did we do? The old only answered, "Because we were human and we would not bow." But humans, even in their darkest hour, carried something the aliens never understood. Hope, a stubborn fire that refused to die no matter how much. Pain came no matter how much blood was lost, the flame of survival stayed alive. Still, hope was fragile. The alien patrols came often. They took food. They mocked the humans. Sometimes they took children, never to be seen again. And every time, the colony stayed silent, for what could broken people do against empires that ruled the stars? Yet in the silence, rumors began. Some said not all human ships had been destroyed. Some whispered of a ghost in the dark, a machine so big it could blot out the stars, a battleship that had escaped the purge. The aliens laughed at such stories, calling them lies. But among humans, these whispers were lifelines. On one broken colony, a boy named Aaron listened to the old veterans speak. They told him of the last days of the war. They told him of a ship that refused to surrender, a ship that vanished into the black void before the enemy could finish it. One day, the veteran said, "It will return, and exile will end." Aaron grew up clutching these words like a weapon. But as years went by, even he began to doubt. The winters grew colder. The raids became harsher. The people seemed ready to accept that this was their fate forever. Exile, silence, and slow. Death. Then something strange happened. The stars above the colony flickered one night. The comm towers picked up a faint pulse. It was not alien. It was not natural. It was human. The signal was old, buried deep under centuries of dust and silence. But it was clear. It carried only one message. We endure. The elders called it madness. The young called it a trap. But Aaron felt his heart race. If the signal was real, then the whispers were real. Something had survived. Something still lived out there, and maybe, just maybe, humanity's exile was not the end, but the waiting before the return. That night Aaron looked at the sky, his fists clenched, his breath sharp in the frozen air. He whispered to himself, "If one battleship still lives, then so do we." Far beyond, hidden in the dark zone of space, where no alien dared to travel, something ancient stirred, its engines silent, its weapons asleep, but its heart, its reactor still burned. The long exile was almost over, and soon, the galaxy would remember the name of humanity. The last colony's despair. The human colony of Duskfall was not a city. It was more like a wound that never healed. Once, long ago, it had been a mining station, built by humans during their golden age. But after the exile, when Earth was taken away, survivors were pushed here. They were told to make this barren rock their home. But Duskfall had no green fields, no rivers, only stone, ash, and cold winds that cut like knives. The people lived in metal shelters patched again and again. With rusted plates, children wore rags made from old ship cloth. The colony farms barely grew thin gray moss, and the recycled water tasted like iron. Every breath was a fight. Every day was survival. Aaron, now grown older, walked through the settlement. He saw hollow eyes staring at him, mothers clutching, thin babies, old men shivering even when fires burned. Every face asked the same question without words. When will this end? The despair was not just hunger, it was deeper. It was the feeling of being forgotten. The galaxy had erased humanity from its stories. In alien schools, humans were not mentioned. In alien markets, humans were a warning. Do not be like them. To the rest of the stars, humans were ghosts that did not matter. And yet the aliens never let them forget who was master. Every season, raider ships came. They were not official fleets of the Council, but smugglers and warlords who knew humans had nothing to fight back with. They landed with noise and fire. They laughed as they took what little food and fuel the Yay. Colony had sometimes they took people too, especially young ones. Aaron had seen it many times. That week, the raiders came again. Their ships hovered above the colony like predators. Soldiers in armor stormed the streets. The humans did not fight. They could not. They lowered their heads, they stayed silent, but inside, the shame burned them alive. Aaron clenched his fists, his jaw tight. He remembered the stories of old. He remembered the signal they had caught weeks ago. We endure, it had said. Those two words kept echoing in his mind. How long must they endure? How long would despair eat them from inside? He followed the raiders with his eyes as they dragged away two young men. Their mothers screamed, falling to their knees. But no one moved. No one dared. The colony had learned that resistance only brought slaughter. But Aaron's blood boiled. He wanted to shout. He wanted to fight. Yet even he knew. One man against an empire was only dust. That night, the settlement gathered in the central hall. The air was cold, the lamps dim. The elders spoke. Our food will not last this winter. Our numbers grow smaller each year. If help does not come, this colony will end. Their voices carried no hope, only the weight of despair. Then, from the back of the hall, an old veteran rose. His voice was cracked but sharp. Do you not remember? Do you not recall the whispers? Not all was destroyed. Not everything was taken from us. One ship remains, a battleship built in the old war, hidden from alien eyes. The hall stirred. Some shook their heads. Fairy tales, they muttered. Old lies to comfort children. But Aaron stood, his heart burning. No, I believe it. I heard the signal with my own ears. It was human, it was ours, and it said, "We endure." Silence fell. Dozens of eyes turned toward him, some filled with disbelief, some with fear, and a few, just a few, with a spark of hope. The elder leaned on his cane, his tired eyes locking on Aaron. Even if the battleship is real, how would you find it? The galaxy is endless. The aliens watch every star. Aaron lifted his chin, his voice steady. We will not die here forgotten. I will search. Even if I must leave this colony alone. Even if it takes my life. I will find it. The room trembled. With murmurs, some called him mad. Some whispered he was doomed. But for the first time in years, a new sound also rose. Whispers of courage. Whispers of rebellion. Outside, the night sky stretched above duskfall, dark and endless. The people of the colony looked up, many for the first time in years, and wondered if somewhere, hidden in that black ocean, a human battleship still waited. Aaron stood alone on the ridge above the colony, the wind cutting across. His face, his heart was heavy with despair, but under that despair burned fire. He remembered the raiders' laughter, the cries of the mothers, the words of the signal. He whispered into the dark, "If you are real, if you are still out there, hear us. We cannot endure much longer." Far away, in the forgotten dark zones of the galaxy, something ancient stirred again. Its systems flickered. Its hull groaned. As if it had heard the last colony's despair had reached the ear of steel, and for the first time in centuries the galaxy shivered. Whispers of steel, the colony of Duskfall slept in silence, but Aaron could not. He walked alone through the empty streets, the echo of his promise still alive in his chest. He had told the people he would search for the ship. He did not know where it was, or even if it was real, yet something inside him refused to let go. Humans had endured exile for centuries, but maybe the time of waiting was ending. One night, while working in the old comm tower, Aaron found the faint signal again. The pulse was weak, broken like a heartbeat fading in the dark. He leaned over the console, eyes fixed on the flickering display. He whispered, "Where are you?" The signal carried no words this time, only a rhythm, but it was enough. Aaron matched the rhythm with old star maps. He spent hours aligning the data, cross-checking coordinates. His hands trembled when he realized the pulse was not random. It came from the Void Zone, a region no alien dared to enter. The Void Zone was a place of fear. It was full of dead stars and broken ships, a graveyard of war. Raiders avoided it. Merchants never crossed it. Even alien fleets stayed away. They said ancient weapons still slept there. Aaron showed his findings to the elders, but they only shook their heads. "The void will kill you, boy," they warned. "Even if something hides there, you will never return." But Aaron had already decided. He would go. Two friends joined him. Lyra, a mechanic with sharp eyes and hands that could fix anything, and Joran, a former pilot who once flew during the Exile Wars. Together, they prepared a small freighter, patched together with stolen parts and rusted engines. It was no warship, but it was all they had. As they left the colony, the people watched in silence. Some whispered prayers. Some shook their heads. In pity, the ship rose slowly into the black sky, its engines coughing smoke. Yet to Aaron it felt like the beginning of something greater. Days turned into weeks as they traveled. The void grew darker the deeper they went. Stars vanished behind clouds of cosmic dust. Broken hulks of old ships drifted past. Twisted metal, graves of forgotten battles. One night, Lyra's scanners caught something. "There!" she shouted, pointing at the console. "A structure, massive!" Not natural. Joran adjusted their course, and soon the shadow appeared. At first it looked like a mountain drifting in space. Then the light from their ship caught the edges, and Aaron's breath froze. It was no mountain. It was steel. Endless steel. A ship so large it dwarfed anything he had ever seen. The hull was scarred, its surface burned and broken from old battles. Whole sections looked dead, but even in its silence it radiated power. It was like staring at a sleeping giant. The whispers were true. Aaron whispered, his voice shaking. "It exists." They approached carefully, their small freighter like an insect beside the massive hull. Lyra worked the scanners. Energy readings, faint but still alive. Systems are not dead, just sleeping. Joran whistled. If this thing wakes up, it could crush fleets on its own. Aaron pressed his hand against the window, staring at the giant. His heart pounded. For the first time in his life, he felt hope burning strong. The Exile was not forever. The steel giant still lived. They docked near a torn hangar bay, their freighter shaking as it connected. Inside, the air was stale but breathable. They stepped into darkness, their lights cutting across endless halls of steel. Rust and dust clung to every surface, yet the walls spoke of strength. "This ship was built to last," Lyra whispered, running her hand along the cold metal. "It's waiting." Hours passed as they explored. They found control rooms with shattered panels, corridors filled with silence. Yet everywhere, signs of life, systems that had not fully died, circuits that still hummed, faint lights that flickered when touched. Finally, they reached the heart of the ship, a massive chamber where the reactor slept. Its core glowed faintly, like a dying ember. Aaron stepped closer, his voice soft. "You've been waiting, haven't you? Waiting for us." Lyra worked quickly, her tools sparking as she repaired broken lines. Joran powered auxiliary systems. Slowly, the chamber began to hum. The glow brightened, the air vibrated. Somewhere deep within the ship, old systems awakened, and then a voice filled the chamber, not human, not alive, but mechanical, ancient and commanding. "Human presence detected. Authorization required." The three froze, their hearts hammering. Aaron stepped forward. "We are human, we are the last, we ask for your strength." The ship was silent for a moment. Then the voice returned. "Authorization accepted." Awakening. Sequence initiated. The entire ship shuddered. Lights flared in the corridors. Engines groaned to life. The battleship was waking. Its steel body trembled as if stretching after centuries of sleep. Aaron looked at his friends, his eyes burning. With fire, the whispers were true, humanity will rise again. But far across the stars, alien sensors also detected it. The surge of power was like a beacon. The galaxy would soon know. Humanity's exile was ending, awakening the beast. The ship groaned like an ancient giant rising from a long sleep. For centuries it had drifted in silence, half dead but never fully gone. Now, with each spark of energy, each tremor of steel, it was waking. Aaron stood in the control chamber, his eyes wide as panels lit up one by one. Dust fell from the ceiling, broken screens flickered, and a deep rumble echoed through the decks. Lyra worked furiously at the consoles, her hands black with grease, her face glowing with determination. Joran sat at an auxiliary control seat, his old pilot's instincts kicking in as systems came alive. "This ship is not dead," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling with awe. "It's been waiting for us." The reactor roared louder, glowing bright like the heart of a star. Vents hissed as ancient oxygen systems began to flow. Lights burst to life down endless corridors, and for the first time in centuries, the battleship breathed. Aaron touched the console in front of him. It felt warm, alive. He whispered, "You're not just steel. You're our last chance." Suddenly, the mechanical voice returned, booming through the ship. Battleship designation Solaris, status critical, systems at 27% capacity, awaiting command. Aaron's chest tightened. Solaris, that was its name. The ship that had escaped destruction. The ghost whispered about in Exile. It was real, and it was his to command. "Run a systems check," Aaron ordered. His voice was steady, though his heart thundered. "Affirmative," the AI responded. "Weapons, offline, hull integrity, compromised, engines, minimal function, shields, inactive, crew, absent." Lyra shook her head. "It's half dead, Aaron. We can't fight anything in this state." Aaron turned to her, his eyes burning with fire. "Then we'll bring it back, piece by piece. We don't need it to fight yet. We just need it to live." For days, the three humans worked without rest. They scavenged the freighter for parts, repaired broken circuits, rewired engines, and cleaned filters clogged by centuries of dust. Lyra crawled through narrow ducts with her toolkit, sparks lighting the dark. Joran reprogrammed navigation, his fingers flying over the panels. Aaron coordinated, learning the ship's systems like a commander born for it. Slowly, Solaris responded. Its engines began to hum steady. Its shields flickered faintly. Its sensors stretched outward like waking eyes. And then, for the first time, the viewports cleared, revealing the galaxy beyond. The void zone stretched around them, filled with shattered husks of old warships, a silent graveyard of the fallen. But Solaris was no grave. It was a survivor. Yet their awakening did not go unnoticed. Across the stars and alien command stations, alarms began to blare. Energy signatures unlike anything seen for centuries had been detected. The councils, admirals stared in disbelief. "Impossible," one whispered. "The humans are gone." But the signal was undeniable. Humanity's weapon had stirred. Back aboard Solaris, Aaron felt the weight of destiny pressing down on him. He stood on the bridge, staring at the flickering stars beyond, his voice low. "They will come. They will try to stop us." Joran nodded grimly. "They'll come with fleets. They'll come with fire. But this ship can fight back." Lyra smiled faintly despite her exhaustion. "It doesn't matter how broken it is, it's still more powerful than anything they've seen." Aaron placed his hand on the command chair, feeling the hum of energy through the steel. "Then let them come. Humanity has endured long enough, now we rise." The ship's AI interrupted. "Warning. Incoming signatures detected. 4 vessels approaching, estimated arrival. 6 minutes. The three froze. The aliens had found them. Joran's hands flew across the navigation console. "We can't run. Engines are too weak. If we try, they'll burn us down." Lyra bit her lip, staring at the weapons console. "Weapons are offline, but maybe not all." She typed furiously, bypassing old locks, sparks flying from the controls. "I might be able to wake 1 railgun, maybe 2. Aaron clenched his fists, his voice steady. "Do it." The minutes stretched like hours. The ship rumbled as Lyra forced ancient weapons online. The railgun core glowed, the metal shaking under the strain. Joran adjusted the ship's angle, lining up a shot through the graveyard of wrecks. The first alien ship arrived, sleek and sharp, mocking the broken Solaris. Its comms blared across the channel. "Humans? Still alive? Pathetic? You think a rusted relic will save you?" Aaron stood tall, his voice cold. "This relic will be the hammer of your empire." The alien ship fired first, beams of energy crashing against Solaris's hull. The ship groaned but held. Then Aaron gave the order. "Fire!" The railgun thundered, the recoil shaking the entire vessel. A bolt of metal tore through space like lightning. It struck the alien cruiser and split it in half. The explosion lit the void. Debris scattering like sparks, silence fell. The other 3 alien ships hesitated, unsure. This rusted relic had just destroyed one of them with a single shot. Aaron's voice was steady, carrying through the comms. "Tell your masters, humanity is not dead. Our exile is over. The enemy, Ships pulled back, but not in retreat. They were calling reinforcements. The galaxy had been warned. Inside Solaris, the lights burned brighter. The ship was awake now, not fully, not strong yet, but alive. The beast had opened its eyes, and Aaron knew. This was only the beginning. The real war was coming, and humanity's roar would shake the stars' first clash. The Void Zone had been silent for centuries, but now it roared with fire. The ancient battleship Solaris floated among the graveyard of wrecks, its hull scarred but alive. Its reactor burning like a hidden sun. Aaron stood on the bridge, his jaw tight, watching the alien ships regroup on the scanners. The first cruiser had already been torn apart by a single railgun shot. Its wreckage drifted in pieces, glowing hot. The other 3 ships circled like wolves, cautious but eager. Their commanders were confused, angry. How could humans, exiles long forgotten, awaken something so deadly? "They're scanning us," Joran muttered, his hands steady on the controls. "They're trying to find weak points." Lyra shook her head, sweat dripping down her brow. "Weak points? The whole ship is a weak point right now. We've got one railgun that works halfway and shields that flicker like candles." Aaron's voice was steady, but one shot was enough to make them hesitate. He leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the display. "They know what this ship can do." Even half dead. The comm crackled, and a voice filled the bridge, harsh and cruel. "Humans, surrender your vessel. This war relic belongs to the Council now. You are trespassers. You are vermin." Aaron stepped toward the comms, his voice sharp as steel. "We are not vermin. We are humanity. And our exile ends tonight." The alien laughed, a chilling, metallic sound. "One lucky shot does not change your fate." The alien ships moved in, beams of plasma slicing through the void. The shields of Solaris flickered, groaning. Metal buckled under the stress, alarms wailed through the corridors. "Shields at 18%. Lyra shouted, slamming her fist on the console. "One more hit like that and they'll punch straight through." Aaron's voice cut through the chaos. "Joran, bring us into the wreck field. Use the old ships as cover." The freighter sized. Fessel responded sluggishly, but Joran coaxed it forward, weaving Solaris between the broken hulks of ancient warships. Alien beams smashed into dead metal, tearing apart the graveyard but missing their mark. "Lyra, give me that railgun again." Aaron ordered. "I'm trying." Sparks flew as she forced power into the weapon. The railgun core glowed, whining like a beast waking too soon. One alien frigate moved in close, confident. Its weapons locked onto Solaris. Ready to strike, Aaron narrowed his eyes. "Fire!" The railgun unleashed its fury, a bolt of hyper-accelerated steel ripping through the frigate's engines. The alien ship exploded in silence, a flower of fire blooming in the dark. 2 ships left, circling faster now, anger burning in their movements. They unleashed volley after volley. Solaris shuddered, lights flickered, and panels burst into sparks. "We can't keep this up," Joran shouted, struggling to hold the controls steady. "We're bleeding out power." Aaron clenched his fists, thinking fast. "Then we strike first." His eyes locked on the wreckage drifting nearby, a massive alien dreadnought from centuries, Ego, half broken but still intact. "Joran, line us up behind that husk." Joran understood instantly. He swung Solaris low, sliding it into the shadow of the wreck. The alien ships adjusted, circling the wreck cautiously, searching. Lyra looked at Aaron with disbelief. "We can't outlast them, Aaron. What's your plan?" Aaron's gaze burned. "We don't outlast them. We scare them." As the alien cruisers closed in, Solaris drifted from the shadow of the wreck. Its railgun charged once more, shaking under the strain. Aaron raised his hand. "Fire!" The shot ripped through the void, smashing into the lead cruiser, tearing its hull open. The explosion lit the graveyard, casting shadows across the dead ships. The last alien ship stopped. Its commander stared at the burning wreckage, heart racing. For the first time in centuries, aliens saw a human warship not running, not begging, but fighting back. The comm crackled again, but this time the alien voice was shaken. "This changes nothing. You are still outnumbered. You will still fall." Aaron leaned toward the comms, his voice cold as the void. "Maybe, but you'll remember the day humans stopped kneeling." The alien ship fired one last desperate volley, The beam scraped across Solaris's hull, tearing through plating, shaking the decks, but the ancient warship refused to fall. Its lights burned brighter, its reactor roared louder. Then, without warning, the alien ship pulled back, its engines flaring as it retreated into the void. Silence filled the bridge, only the sound of crackling consoles and the heavy breaths of the three humans remained. "They ran," Joran whispered, disbelief in his voice. "They actually ran," Lyra laughed weakly, leaning back in her chair. "We scared them. With one working railgun and a half-dead ship." Aaron didn't smile. His eyes were sharp, focused. "They didn't run because they were afraid of us. They ran because they're bringing more." The weight of his words filled the air. They all knew it was true. This was no victory, it was only the first clash. The real storm was still coming. Aaron looked out at the stars, his voice a whisper meant only for himself. "Let them come. The galaxy will remember us." And far away across council space, messages spread like wildfire. Human signatures detected, human battleship active. The name Solaris carried on whispers, whispers that became fear, the return of fear. The alien cruiser fled into the stars, leaving behind burning wreckage and silence. For the first time in centuries, human hands had forced an enemy ship to retreat, yet on the bridge of Solaris no one celebrated. The smell of smoke filled the air, sparks crackled from broken panels, and exhaustion weighed on every face. Aaron stood at the viewport, staring. At the trail of light left by the fleeing cruiser, his voice was steady, but his eyes burned. "They will tell their masters they will not forget what they saw." Lyra slumped in her chair, wiping sweat from her face. "Good, let them be afraid." "But," Joran shook his head, his voice grim. "Afraid? No. They'll be furious. They'll send fleets this time, not scouts." Aaron turned, his expression sharp. "Then we prepare. This ship is our only shield. If we fall, every colony stays in chains." For days, Solaris groaned under the strain of awakening. Lyra and Aaron worked tirelessly, patching systems, coaxing power back into dead circuits. Joran trained on navigation and old battle routines. The ship was far from whole, but with each day it grew stronger. Yet beyond the void, news spread like fire. Across council worlds, alien leaders gathered. In secret chambers, hollow screens lit with trembling faces. "Impossible," one elder hissed. "The humans were exiled. They were broken." Another whispered, "Then explain the cruiser that never returned. Explain the readings." Energy surges. "From a human warship." Fear crept into their voices, but pride drowned it. "One ship cannot change the balance. We must strike now before their whispers grow." Back in the exile colonies, word traveled fast. Merchants carried rumors. Smugglers spread tales. The humans found a battleship. They whispered in hidden corners. "It destroyed alien ships. It fights back." For the first time, hope lit fires in the hearts of exiled families. On duskfall, children looked at the sky differently. Mothers told stories not of loss, but of return. The name Solaris spread from mouth to mouth like a prayer. But fear returned not only to aliens, humans felt it too. Because hope was dangerous. If Solaris failed, if the aliens crushed it, despair would return 10 times heavier. Inside Solaris, Aaron felt that weight every time he closed his eyes. He remembered the cries of mothers when raiders stole their sons. He remembered the emptiness in children's eyes. He could not fail. Not now. One night, the ship's AI spoke, its voice deep and steady. "Warning. Multiple long-range scans. Detected alien fleets converging. Estimated contact within 7 days." The bridge went silent. Lyra's hands froze over her tools. Joran's jaw clenched. Aaron's eyes narrowed. 7 days, he whispered. "That's all the time we have." The crew worked like fire after that. Every corridor of Solaris buzzed with energy. Systems that had been silent for centuries flickered alive. Lyra rebuilt weapons, forcing old cannons back into service. Joran calibrated the engines, pushing them past safety limits. Aaron studied battle records stored in the AI, learning tactics used by commanders long dead.